Hi guys, it's Lisa Joy Young, and it's another Q&A session. This one is going to be what kind of setup do you have and what do you bring to parties versus corporate events? I've also gotten this question a lot, so I hope that this can help you out. I try not to bring a ton of supplies with me to my events. I think that you don't need that many things. People have like a gazillion colors of glitter, a gazillion powders, every star blend. That's a little out of control. You really don't need all that. And all it's doing is taking out of your profits because you're buying all this stuff. And it's making you take more time to set up and clean up. So I suggest taking only what you need. I take 2 of these bad boys with me. I took out sorry, messy, I didn't clean it from my last bed, but I took out the foam, if you can see, so I can fit a bunch more than if the foam was in there, and I can put in different shapes like the squares and things like that. So I just have 2 of those to carry all my paint. I also have a little plastic pack, and in that pack I keep a white star blend, a black star blend, and a red star blend, and also an iridescent glitter. This one's in a bag, but usually they're in jars. And that's the only glitter I have is the iridescent, because really you don't need any other colors. You just need that one color of glitter. I personally hate having lots of glitter colors. Number 1, it could be messy. Number 2, glitter's kind of expensive. But the reason I really hate it is because then kids see the glitter and then they need to pick which colors. Oh, can I have that glitter? And and that glitter? And it makes it take a lot longer. It adds unnecessary time. Take away glitter options and you're going to save yourself a lot of time. Another thing I have in my kit, of course, are brushes. And I think it's really important to have multiples of the same brushes. I have 3 brushes of 1s and 3 brushes of 6s, and then 2 brushes of the flat. And the reason I do this, and I've talked about this in my time saving video, is because that way you don't have to rinse out your brushes. I have 1 for black, 1 for white, 1 for other colors. Your water stays cleaner. You save time. It's just good to do. As far as how I set up at parties versus corporate events, for corporate events or parties that book me for more than 2 hours, I have a table that I got from Easy Up, and it's a pretty compact size. It folds in half to become even more compact, but what's so great about it is that it extends up to a bar height. So that way it matches my director's chair, my tall director's chair, which I also got from Easy Up. Here's a good tip. I don't know if they're still doing it, but 2 years ago when I bought my chair, I told them I was a face painter, and they gave me, I think it was like $50 off the price of the chair. So you can see if they're still doing that. Tell them you're a face painter before you buy it and see if they will give it to you for less. Do not bring the chair and table with me to parties that are less than 2 hours because they take time to set up. And they're big and bulky, and usually people don't really want that in their house anyways. When I'm at parties, generally I just sit at the end of a table on a chair, and since I don't have a ton of stuff, I set it up right on the table, take up hardly any space, and then the children stand right in front of me, kind of between my legs, and I paint them standing and me sitting. So it saves time with setup and cleanup, and you don't take up as much room at parties. I always take my table and chair to corporate events because usually you're there for a longer time, and a lot of times they just don't have anything there for you. You have to bring your own stuff. The question I get is, how do you display your work when you go to parties and corporate events? My answer is, I don't. I don't have a book. I don't have boards with my work on them. The only place I ever display work is at the pay-per-face events. The reason I don't do this is very simple, and that is I paint faces depending on the length of my line. If I have 2 kids in line, I'll paint, more elaborate faces. If I have a long line, I'm going to paint smaller faces. If you have a book that people are going to look through, odds are the kids are always going to pick the biggest, most elaborate faces, and if you have a line of 50 and you have to do that, that's not good. So I suggest not having a book. If you're a beginner and you don't feel confident and you don't have your faces memorized, then sure, you could have a book there. But I personally think that a book only hurts you because it limits what you can do. I highly suggest having 3 versions of each design under your belt so you can paint whatever version you need to based on your line. So an example of this would be a butterfly. If you have 5 kids or less and the little girl asks for a butterfly, you can paint the big beautiful butterfly mask and take your time on it. If you have 5 to 10 kids, you can paint a small butterfly with flowers and swirls that's a little bit quicker. If you have a really, really long line, you can get out your butterfly brush and do a quick 10-second butterfly. So I have a super, super fast, a pretty fast, and then a detailed version of every single design. I have all 3 of those versions, and this is very, very helpful to keep your line under control. Also, with sponges, I've gotten asked the question, do you use new sponges on every kid, or do you save your sponges? I personally do not use a new sponge on every kid. I have about 7 sponges out, 1 for rainbow cakes, 1 for each rainbow cake, 1 for a tiger, 1 that has white on it, and then, whatever colors people ask for. To sanitize them, I have an aerosol hand sanitizing spray, and I spray it after each use so it's clean. I like doing this more than using new sponges because what happens is your sponge sucks up that paint, right? And then when you go to use it on the next person and you spray your sponge, it's going to reactivate the paint that's already in there. So your sponge will suck up less the next time. So you're saving paint and it's a quicker loading process. So that's what I do. If you feel more comfortable using a new sponge for each kid, by all means, that's fine to do too. I think those are all the questions I got asked on that subject. But of course, if you have more questions regarding your kit and what I do with mine, please leave them in the comment section below. Thanks. Bye.